Hello, everyone. James Hilliard here. Welcome to our podcast, the first of a three-part series where we're really going to be focusing on ransomware recovery with Zerto. Again, we've got three of these conversations broken down into about 8 or 10 minutes each, so pretty digestible, but we're going to give you some good information to be acting upon as we go through the conversations. Zerto is a Hewlett-Packard enterprise company, and we're doing this in partnership with Zunesis. From Zunesis, Michael Goslin is on board with us, the CTO of Zunesis. Also, Gene Torres is on board. He is a senior solutions engineer at Zerto. And again, we're really talking about how to recover. Unfortunately, guys, from the when it happens, typically not these days the if it happens scenario. But let's get into it. And Michael, I wanted to start with you, kind of from the Zunesis customer base in terms of what they've really been seeing in terms of their security in the past several years, how things are changing for them, what they're coming to you and talking about.
Yeah, so I think we're seeing a lot more awareness. A lot of our companies are now looking at making security more of a priority than they have in the past. They're putting more emphasis on the overall strategy, from devices to access to server to data security. Trying to isolate their backups or isolate their data, to even hardening their server environment, just to improve the security overall. We're also seeing a lot more movement in using more AI type technology in the security markets. That's fairly new, but that's something that is coming, and we're starting to see a lot more conversations around that.
Are you seeing, Michael, more of the teamwork that I'm seeing as well? Because back in the day, it used to kind of be a little more of a solo, few individuals focused on security. And now it seems a lot of the conversations I have, security mindset is permeating a lot of our organizations. Are you experiencing that with your customer base?
Yes, we are. It's from the networking team, the server team, storage team, security teams. It's everybody's now involved, where it didn't used to be that way.
And Gene, that's a good thing, because a lot of security, yes, it has to do with technology, has to do with process, but also the people. And that security mindset is something important. And I think, but love to get your opinions here. The last 2 years through that COVID time frame, because we expanded with so many people going home, all of a sudden there were a lot more threat vectors. There were more devices. There were more endpoints. It was just a wider attack vector. And so more of us had to have a security mindset. Have you all been observing that as well?
Yeah, definitely. With everyone working from home, everyone's got smartphones, they got tablets, they got computers. Some of them aren't even managed by the enterprise, getting access into. So how do we, it makes security's job a lot harder. It's more complex, especially also now there's a lot more cloud adoption. It's not just on premises you got to protect now, it's everything. So from my perspective, from Zerto's perspective, it's protect that data, because your security team doesn't need to do all the work. It's everybody's job. It's everyone's responsibility, security.
Did I speak in a language that you understood at the beginning, saying it really is a matter of kind of the when, not the if these days?
Definitely. It's always when. The only real ransomware hits you hear about are the large ones that take down, like supply chain or something big, right? But truth is, it's happening all day, every day. Smaller companies are getting hit. They just don't make the news like the others.
Like the big ones. Yeah. And Michael, ransomware is that one of those top of mind concerns of your customers out there, that they're talking to you about? How do we, one, either protect ourselves against it, and two, if it happens, how are we going to recover?
Yeah, we've had several customers hit by ransomware, and recovery was all over the board pretty much on how long it took them to recover. Some took a month, some took several months to recover. And this is why we're seeing a lot more of trying to isolate the data, get that immutability on the data so they can recover. We're also seeing a lot more on paying attention to hardening. So hardening your network, hardening your server access, hardening your storage, everything, going through that process of understanding where the attack vector was and is, and what else could they be, where else could they be attacked? So that's a lot of the process we've been working through.
In that kind of layered process, I mean, the harder we make it, cyber criminals are similar to real world criminals. You make it hard on them and they'll move on to something else, something easier to get into. And so Gene, that brings up the point. So we know ransomware is an issue. It is also it could be an end of business issue. If it takes a company too long to recover that trust from consumers, or if it's a B2B type situation from customers, clients, that can be out the window really quick and you can see an end of business event. So what are a couple ways that businesses can, stop these ransomware attacks and prepare to recover when, as we said, they do have it?
So I don't think there's going to ever be 100% way to stop it. All it takes is one person to click on a link in an email or answer a phone call, someone impersonating IT, needing your password, getting socially engineered. But in terms of being able to recover from it, I mean, you got to test your recovery plans routinely. No two ransomware attacks are the same. It could be files encrypted, it could be entire servers encrypted. You got to be prepared to recover in either one of those events and testing that plan. What do we do in a ransomware attack? Hey, let's do a fire drill. Do we recover it back in production? Do we recover it in isolation? Make sure it's all clean before we let people in. So a lot of things have to go as part of that. It's not just, as much as we would say 4 clicks, hit the red button, you're back up in business. There's a lot more involved in that. So
testing. Years and years and years ago, it was like, oh, you might do a yearly test or so. That was kind of protocol. What is a current best practice for keeping our teams crisp, ready to, jump at a moment's notice, recover when needed? Are we doing it more often, 2 times a year? Is it every quarter? Is it randomly? What's a best practice you see?
So for us, because we allow customers to test non-disruptively, it's test whenever you want during the day, during business hours. I remember when I was, in the data center, we would do DR tests once a year. We'd recover 5 applications, not the 500 that we had. So if you don't have a way to effect or efficiently and quickly test these things to validate your recovery plans, it's just gonna be painful. Yes, we can recover, but it's gonna take us forever.
Yeah, and that is a big change in getting to a more modern recovery stance for organizations. Ever so briefly, we're not doing deep dive tech dives. Look, you're gonna folks get some information from me in a moment to reach out to Zunesis and have the individual conversation for your needs. But at the highest of levels, Gene, what is Zerto doing to really make a difference out there and help teams recover faster, get back on their feet?
We're simplifying the entire experience. We're software only, we're quickly deployed, we're quickly protected, we're quickly recovering. And whether you're on premises in the cloud, you're moving to containers, you're coming out of the cloud, going between clouds, we just make the experience very easy for our customers to adopt.
And Michael, how is Zerto then fit into some of the overall focus that you and the Zunesis team have working with customers on security? One, to try and prevent, but obviously if it gets through, then how to recover? How does it all fit into everything that you bring to the table?
Yeah, so Zerto is the DR solution that we offer. It is the recovery of the data. It also fits in around the backup, long-term archiving, hardening. So we try to look at the total picture of that, and Zerto is definitely a main player in that solution.
Well, guys, I appreciate it. Again, folks, 3-part series. This high-level overview, and I think we touched on a couple of the ideas. We'll be drilling deeper into some future conversations, but want to make sure that you do have an opportunity to reach out to the Zunesis team right now if you want to learn more about Zerto. You want to have that more in-depth conversation. Couple things you can do. I'm going to get a phone number here, 720-221-5200. So 720-221-5200. Also online, zunesis.com, Zunesis, zunesis.com to learn more. Gene, thank you. Michael, thank you. Folks, thank you for joining us. And we do look forward to talking to you all down the road.